Hello. So, following the news yesterday, apparently even more of the UK is getting more like lockdown measures, restrictions, blah blah blah. So yeah, I don't think it'll be all that long until we just end up having a second national lockdown at this rate. Just in time for Christmas, so you can't see your loved ones and have a good time. Oh dear. But yeah, if people wanted to talk about masks and PPE and whatever, feel free. Or Geiger counters, whatever. As long as it isn't the same questions being repeated over and over and over again, I don't mind. I'm good, thanks, T. Right, Yorkshire Tom. Yeah, I'm streaming at a different time today. Normally I stream in the evenings, but today I thought I'd stream just about now, just for the sake of, people in different time zones, and it means that this evening I can just have a relaxing evening and not think about having to do a stream. So there's that. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Person with what I assume is an Arabic name I can't pronounce, but thank you, I am good. All right, Stug and everybody else joining. I won't keep reading out everybody's names now because it says we've got 25 people on now. So as soon as everybody has a comment, it'll be. Sure, I wouldn't mind doing that, Nikolai. The only issue is at the moment it can be a bit hard to buy a lot of Russian surplus stuff because of Russia did a PPE export ban at one point, just because of wanting to get enough corona protection for their own country. I didn't know they were still about planes, but that's a bit worrying, seeing as the last lot of them caused a bit of radiation to be released. So it's in your capital, is it stuck? I don't know if London's got any restrictions at the moment. I don't think it does, but yeah, obviously Dublin's going to be a fairly big size place, isn't it? Yeah, as you said, planes, gas mask prices at the moment are inflated due to corona, and there's some places which aren't exporting as usual because they want protection for themselves, or people have, reserve stock, essentially. No, sadly, the RAF doesn't use the B-52. At the time the B-52 was being used, the RAF used the Vulcan. That was the most famous of the RAF bombers. But you will see B-52s in the UK because when America uses them and they're using British air bases, you occasionally see B-52s being used in the UK. There's one in Oxfordshire sort of area, and it's not, I don't think it's RAF Benson, but there's one in Oxfordshire area where the US have an air base where they can land B-52s. Nikolai, we don't tend to have that many American planes. The Tornado was used for ages. And then the Eurofighter Typhoon was one we had quite a few of, and I think they've bought quite a few F-35s for carriers now. And it's not Bryce Norton, the one I'm thinking of. There's one where the Americans specifically have a US base still, where they've got long enough runway for the B-52s, because somebody I know at one point, I don't know if he still does it, was doing like private firefighter stuff for that base. I can't remember what the name of it is now. Yeah, they're blaming everybody else, aren't they, Limsky, but themselves, which is typical. Oh, stop carping about the system not working. It's fine. I got a test. It's that sort of thing. All right, Sparrow. Hello, Marcus. Hello, anybody else joining? But yeah, again, if we had a good track and trace system, which was meant to be up by April, wasn't it, or May? We wouldn't be in such a shit position. But oh, what a surprise! They didn't come up with a good track and trace system. Yeah, thanks, Hype. Yeah, so just to show you that thing, I need to find where I put the eye cut for this and put that back in the box. But yeah, I thought because I've got the official lanyard for this now, I might as well keep that on the lanyard, and then I can just position it so when it's in use, I can clip it on. Annoyingly, it'd be perfect if that clip there would give it enough space over the sort of that bit there, but it wouldn't quite. I suppose I could always, if I wanted to, clip it further back, like that one. That might actually work all right. Let's see how much the webcam can see that IR. Oh yeah, this IR shows up really well on the webcam. Can I zoom it in and out using this? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's surprisingly how good this IR is, obviously, because the webcam can see it pretty well. I thought it was more close to 10 times zoom on this one, Hype. If I hadn't got the light on, I'd try it, but you can't really... It's at a minimum 4, I think, but it's definitely, I think, more like 4 to 10. It says in the specification sheet, doesn't it? But it's quite a decent zoom level. But obviously, it does let in a lot of light, doesn't it, with one like this, which is great. Have I still got the eye cup on my desk, or did I put that away safely in a drawer for this? There it is. I tend to not bother using this with it, but that's its actual eye cup. If I can get it on. But I kind of just prefer having it like this so you can put cameras up to it easily. Right, that's not quite straight, but there we go. So yeah, that would obviously be like that. Let me just flick the lights off a second so people can just see this one, although it's going to be zoomed too far in to be any practical use. Yeah, there's this one, but again, it's the zoom's going to be. Oh shit! Was that the webcam that fell off? Yeah, I knocked the webcam off. Brilliant. Right. Let's see if I can find the webcam. There we go. Right, let's try that again without knocking the webcam off the thing. If it wants to refocus. Visually, my favourite gas mask, probably the S10 sort of style ones, S10, FM12, CT12. Yeah, let's try that again and see if let me just do that zoom to the other side. So it might not be focused for the camera either. There we go. You can just about see, but obviously, yeah, that's the zoom level on it, look. So it's... Don't know if the gain control is going to do much in here. No, because of the light. But yeah, that's... Yeah, I'm certainly not going to use that indoors with something like this. So yeah, it might be a 4x zoom, as you say, but yeah, it's just a bit sort of strange, isn't it, how big the scope is for 4x, but... Ah, cool. What's the actual check source end planes? Liverpool. I've not been to Liverpool many times. I used to work with a bloke from Liverpool, or two blokes from Liverpool, but you know, after Corona, they both left. Yeah, I've only been using that IR torch outdoors, and it was the weak one I was using yesterday. But, that's annoying, Peter, but yeah, it's the typical thing. I did a stream one day. I had to finish the stream because only 2 people came on, and then after like a moment, they couldn't comment anymore. Thank you, Anoop. All right, Jin Dobry to you, Azul. Yeah, Geiger counters are useful. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things like that, isn't there, where people don't get a notification, but they show up in their recommended, or like vice versa. Right, I'm just going to put this night vision back in its case so I don't have any risk of damaging it. I might keep this thing on it for a while. The what's it called? Like the eye cup. Obviously, if it makes filming outdoors difficult, I'll just keep that stored off of it. But I'm definitely going to keep the IR thing clipped to it for the time being, just because of how practical that might be to just be able to flick that on and off. I've got lots of World War II helmets. I've not got any World War I helmets. I don't think, sadly, though, I've got any World War II helmets laying about in this room, so I can just pick them up and show you. But if you look on my channel, you can find lots of World War II helmets. there's a tank helmet literally right over there. The two tank helmets I've got is that Soviet one, although that's an East German basically copy of it. And I've got a French tank helmet, which is kind of like the same sort of thing, but it's like green. It's made a bit better, but annoyingly, it's got like big holes where the ears are, because it was one of those tank helmets that was designed to have like an integrated headset, but when they surplused them, they didn't sell the headsets with them. No, I don't have an Adrian helmet. All right, let me look it up, Plain. So it's 36. Chat keeps moving. eBay item number search. Have a look. It's not right. Those are very active if you open them up. That's Americinium 241. Let me show you something interesting with those. I can show you my radius scan, which should be in here, or if I put the radius scan in the other room. All right, I think my radius scan's in the other room. Let me go get my radius scan. Right, I'm back. Let me just find an unopened one of these. I think I have some down here somewhere. Yeah, there they are. Right, so yeah, let me show you something. So here you go, Planes. If you have a look at this, right, so background's a bit higher than normal at the moment, but that might just be because I've got a few check sources laying around. So if you have one of these, it's one of those, isn't it? So what they've got in here is a little bit of Americinium 241. It's literally that bit there, but it's facing inwards, which is a very strong alpha emitter and a weak gamma emitter. But if I just put it here, let's just get the screen back on, you'll see that the reading should go up a bit. If I put that there, it won't go up very much, because as I said, yeah, the point is that you're probably getting a very low reading, aren't you, from it, because you're just getting a little bit of gamma coming out of that. Right, here's the interesting bit. If you've got an alpha probe on a Geiger counter, is what's actually inside those is Americinium 241, which looks like this, basically. Pretty boring looking, but it's actually really scary stuff. So if I take the thing off, because this Geiger counter has an alpha probe, then let's just get the display back up. Then we put the AM241 there. Yeah, so that's the interesting thing with Americinium, is it's quite boring if you're using it as a gamma source, but when you actually have it as an alpha source, and the webcam's obviously not going to focus, that's actually pretty hot stuff. But yeah, Americinium 241, used in smoke alarms for years. I wonder how it compares to just some old radium watch hands. All right, I'm not going to open this up to contaminate them. But, oh yeah, that's a bit hotter. Yeah, that's a bit hotter, just some radium watch hands. But yeah, it's not really going to focus on those, is it? But I have got my UV light handy, so let me show you how lovely radium looks under UV. Right, if that's visible under the webcam. It's probably not going to focus, is it? But there we go. And scarily, notice that there's glowing powder on the roof of the thing. That's obviously radium dust. That's quite frightening. So I keep them sealed in here. But it's a shame the webcam doesn't see them the same way my camera sees them, and my eye. But yeah. Radium, son, it's lots of fun. But yeah, anyway, let's go back to the chat. So, were there any questions about stuff? Yeah. Which GQ did you have, Peter? But even if you only had one that was beta and gamma, you're still going to get a pretty high reading, aren't you, from that? Because there's still a lot of beta coming off of radium. Logan, basically everything if it's a gamma ray. I think they've all got the radium on. It's just obviously some of them are breaking apart with age. So same one as me. Yeah, so again, yeah, that's still going to get a high reading. You're still going to get all the beta and gamma coming off of it, even without the alpha. Let's have a look on the BBC article again. As much as I'm not a big fan of the BBC, it's all right for just using it for news headlines. New COVID-19 rules for more parts of North and Midlands. Tougher restrictions will come into force in Lancashire, Merseyside, parts of the Midlands and West Yorkshire after significant increases in COVID-19 cases, the government has said. They're going to stop households from meeting each other at home or gardens. Pubs and restaurants may have to shut early, although it's not really clear on this. Do they mean that they have less opening hours, or they're just going to be closed full stop again like the first lockdown? 4.7 million more people are going to be affected by the rules. So we're looking at like almost 10% of the UK's population again now. Thankfully, Hype, the area I'm in at the moment, isn't one of the restricted areas, but our case numbers are still going up. So I think in 2 weeks' time, we'll probably be having the same restrictions. Yeah, I wear a half-face respirator outside normally. BC, I think they just get private test kits, and then they talk about how great the system is because they get fast-tracked when other people don't. What about alpha and beta? Alpha and beta can both be stopped by thick bits of plastic. Alpha can literally be stopped by paper. What, Sweden in regards to corona or something else? Yeah, the M50. The M50 Hype is the one I'm actually using, I think, the most outside, in all honesty. It's not in here. I've got in the front room, so I remember to grab it when I go out. But yeah, that's the one I think I end up using most. Just thanks for sending it as well, just because of the voice diaphragm on it. I think it's really nice to have a half-face respirator with a voice diaphragm on it, just because of the fact that you can actually communicate with people better when you're outside, you know, or in a shop or whatever. Oh, for the person saying what gas mask the Iraqi army had, I think they had M9 clones, didn't they, at one point? I don't think they'd have used it to get rid of their own population. Here's the thing, like I was saying the other day, I have no way of knowing, obviously, if Corona was a bioweapon or not. But what I can tell you is I think after all the damage this has caused, it will certainly make more governments and dodgy groups go, oh, you know, a bioweapon might be really good as kind of a terror weapon, you know. The UK does not have a civilian gas mask anymore. The UK's option is if there's some event where there's a gas attack against civilians, whatever, you die. That's basically their policy. The UK civilian mask in World War II was just called the civilian light respirator. And there was also the civilian duty respirator. Cheapest mask I've ever bought. I'm sure I've bought some like really, really crap cheap masks off eBay or like AliExpress before. All right, Richard. You're asking a very much how long is a piece of string question there, Logan, because basically you get something called fallout where neutrons from the bomb irradiate materials used in the ground burst. So basically it's just you don't want to be anywhere near it. Yeah, exactly. Imagine how well a country would have done if right from the beginning they said we're just going to make a cheap respirator for everybody. You have to wear it if you're going out and about. Imagine how much that would have cut infection rates. But no, that costs money. You can't do that. The CDV 700's tube is very sensitive. Yeah, especially that thinner bit of the metal where you can detect beta on it. Because if you put something like a Mericinium 241 on it, although you won't get as good a reading as if you were using it with an alpha probe, it tends to read a lot higher than most GM counters pick up on it. Because I imagine a hard alpha can get through the CDV 700's tube. Most expensive? Most I spent on a single mask was probably, what's it, the XM28? What's your plan to do it? Just literally get industries to make them. It wouldn't be hard. They managed it in World War II. You know, lots of other nations can manage it. All you literally do is get companies, again, the problem is lots of companies in the UK don't really exist anymore. But the idea is basically you give them a grant to, you know, and they've been printing money non-stop since Corona started. So give them just all a big grant to just produce a very basic respirator. The postal service, you know, everybody can get post delivered in the UK, so just get one mask shipped to everybody. Yeah, but the problem is class 2 instructor. I think a lot of people like that won't just listen to facts like that. Yeah, M95, as long as it's not an N95, is pretty good for $48. Yeah, that'd be one way to. There's lots of ways in modern Western countries they could effectively distribute stuff to people. I mean, the government will send you letters all the time telling you about like your taxes going up and stuff like that. So if they can post those to you, they could post you a very basic respirator. The thing is, Richard, they don't actually have everybody on the electoral register, though, do they? But yeah, Peter, you make a good point. As I said, there's lots of ways you could do it. If that's the Republic hype, that's not part of the UK. If it's regular Ireland, not Northern Ireland, I don't actually know. That's a good idea if they're doing that. But bear in mind, the UK itself has kind of been pants on head retarded regarding a lot of this stuff. So generally, you can look at a lot of countries neighbouring us and go, wow, they've done a much better job. No, if I was a government, I wouldn't hire mercenaries, is the short answer to that. But anyway, 40mm NATO filters, you're more likely, Aeon, to just be able to find like ABEC P3 40mm filters. I'll have to wait to payday first, hype, and then I'll check PAL packs and see if one's in stock. But I'm alright, thank you, Zoe. But yeah, basically at the moment it's waiting for payday, which I think is next week. Yeah, it should be next week. If not, it'll be the very start of the week after. Well, I don't use the CDV 700 if that's what you're asking, just because it takes 4 D cell batteries and it's a pretty old Geiger counter. So unless I'm using it for a video, I don't use it because, you know, stuff like this is way more practical. Yeah, I've seen a PMKS. Sadly, I don't have one. They look good. Right. See, I'm not of an age bracket where I can tell you if online school beats physical school or not, because when I was a youngster, there weren't none of that. You went to school. I'm not old enough, though, that the teachers are allowed to hit you. But yeah, I need to get a video edited together later on with the night vision stuff I shot yesterday. And yeah, not much else today, really, honestly, but well, when it's developed and properly trialed and everything, yes, I would have it, because I have a flu jab every year and that never does me any harm, you know. As long as it's properly trialed and tested, there will be no issue. The only issue comes about if it's rushed through, you know, and dodgy companies are chosen to like manufacture it or whatever. But at the moment, all the Western vaccines are going through very strict, you know, trials and everything. Night vision is good, yes. Oh yeah, that's the XM27, I believe, Pedro, the transparent M17. Right, people are atting each other and not talking to me at the moment, so I can't really answer them. You can put talcum powder stuff inside it, schlumpty dumpty, that would do it to that sort of degree. That's why a lot of them come quite talky in the first place. Against chlorine gas, that would be an inorganic vapor filter, I believe. So that's normally classed as a B style filter, but just NBCs or all-round ABEC filters would work fine. Right, off-target survival and prepping, again, in lots of parts of the countries, you can't meet up with friends, you know, in their garden, in their house. Like, places might have to close early or not be allowed to open at all. I've not tried it on, Marcus. I'll do a video of it later, because I need to edit the thing later, and then I'll do the video on the Taiwanese gas mask later. I've got it down here, though. Looks like it'll be pretty good, in all honesty. It just literally, to me, looks like an Israeli M15, in all honesty. But again, it's because it's like an improved Draeger M65, isn't it? The problem is with the Russian vaccine is, from what I understand, it's being rushed through pretty quickly, unlike a lot of the Western ones. And again, if they make something that's completely safe and it works, that's brilliant, you know. But the reason you have all these clinical trial type things with things like vaccines is to make sure there aren't side effects you don't know about. It depends. Is it a vapor filter or a particle filter? If it's a particle filter and the wrapping's punctured, it's not really a big deal. If it's a vapor filter and the wrapping's punctured, it means the filter's not going to be as efficient as it was. Hazmat suits and like gas masks will only prevent you from being exposed to alpha and beta radiation. Not going to do anything against gamma. The CM4 is decent, actually. I'd say my favourite one out of all the ones I've got is the Israeli M15, but when I try on that Taiwanese mask a bit later today, I'll let you know if that's better. It might be, but in general, I find the actual original German M65s aren't all that good. All right, Mike? Yeah, I'm all right, thanks, Mike. Yeah, it's just because a lot of the countries that did clones and copies of the M65s just, put better straps on them. The rubber's a bit more versatile. What do you mean, why do the masks have a different type? Like with anything, why are there lots and lots of different types of cars, Different needs, different companies make them. Yeah, Fashida's are very nice masks. Well, here's the problem though. If there's radiation, it's not going to care if you want to be exposed to alpha only. If there's gamma rays there, there's gamma rays there. Yeah. Although, I'm not going to lie, hype, if the vaccine accidentally boomer-sided, oh no, what a shame that would be. I'm being very cynical there, but, it's just the people at the moment who keep whinging and not following any of the corona restrictions and fucking it up for people my age. Oh no, the vaccine might kill them. But yeah, the point Hype's making, for those of you that aren't really reading what he's saying, is that basically the phase 3 trial in a vaccine thing makes sure that there aren't long-term side effects. Yeah, normally TXC gaming, normally if you're exposed to any kind of radiation randomly, there's probably all 3 going to be there. I don't think, Logan, you currently understand how radiation works if you're asking these questions but also making statements. There's a huge amount of gamma rays and neutrons made when a nuclear bomb goes off, and when you get radioactive fallout, there's a load of gamma rays coming off of that as well, like cesium-137 and cobalt-60. You're exposed to that, you're going to be killed by gamma rays. So you're always going to be exposed to gamma if there's some sort of horrible nuclear event. It's not going to be explicitly just alpha or beta, or gamma. There's going to be all 3 there. CDV probes are all metal, aren't they? It's just a very thin bit of metal around the thinnest part. I have been blaming the government if you've not been listening, but I'm just saying from my personal observations, there's lots of people in their 50s and 60s sort of age group going, oh, it's all made up, all this blah, 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 5G, blah, 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 Depends how close the blast is. If you mean in terms of fallout whiskey, that's why they tend to be, like at least 1 flight of stairs underground with a load of concrete and earth between you and the outside, because that gives you about a protection factor of 1,000 to 1. Of course, the deeper into the earth it is and the more concrete and everything else, the better the protection factor is. Does this room get dusted when it needs dusting? There isn't dust on all the stuff behind me, so... I'd imagine, Gus, it would be possible to have one built into a swamp, wouldn't it? It would just be a lot harder, like in terms of excavating something and making sure like water didn't leak through and whatever else. Yeah, I like when the wind blows. Well, when I say like, I mean I like it in the same way about Fred's, but But yeah, they're following the protect and survive instructions. If I can get my finger to point at it in the background. There we go, look. They're following those instructions, which only really work if you're very lucky anyway. It's good advice in there, but it's not going to save you if thermonuclear war happens. Depends on the yield of the bomb, Logan. Logan, you're asking really stupid questions now. It depends on the yield of the bomb. If it was something like a Davy Crockett, you'd be fine maybe 2 miles away. If it was Tsar bomb, you'd be wiped out hundreds of miles away. You might want to actually read up on nuclear weapons to a degree before you start asking questions on them. Yeah, that's my point, Simfrost, is there's lots of stuff with that where it'd be probably more bleak surviving it. Yeah, if there is a nuclear exchange, fun fact, you're not surviving it. And that's all I'm going to say to people that seem to think, oh, but I might just be slightly in between the bomb. If the initial explosion doesn't get you, I'm sure fallout, lack of food, lack of water, all those sort of things, will get you. How do you mean you put coal in it? As in the coal's absorbing the radon, do you mean? The problem is the amount of lead you actually need to reliably stop gamma rays is insane. You can't simply walk around with like a lead suit on. I'll finish the stream in about 5 or so minutes because I want to get a bit of lunch and start editing some videos, but yeah, or just be lucky enough, maybe be in a country that doesn't get nuked because they're not a geopolitical player, I think, yeah, if you're in somewhere like New Zealand and you were in New Zealand and get nuked, your chances might be pretty good. Assuming that the country itself can build, provide enough of its own like food and stuff like that. Because if you live in a lot of places, they don't actually farm enough of their own materials, That's actually pretty interesting. I might put some charcoal or something in with some of my stuff to measure radon. Stuff that's a good idea, Radiac Maniac. I really don't know, Schlumpty Dumpty, if certain brands of talcum powder are more efficient than others. I tend not to use it myself. You should basically decontaminate the stuff as best you can and leave it at the door or like in a mudroom type thing. You don't want to be walking in with NBC gear if you've been exposed to stuff into a house, really, because then stuff's going to be falling off the suit, whether it be like poisons or a fallout, and getting everybody that lives in the house. In an ideal world, you would bin the filter, yes, and you'd have a fresh one on next time. In an unideal world, you just have to clean the outside of it as best as possible. Oh yeah, I definitely think so, Planes. I think it's really accelerating a lot of geopolitical tension type stuff that was around anyway. But yeah, I suppose it's because charcoal's really absorbent, isn't it? And then, or adsorbent, and because it's so adsorbent, radon gas gets sucked into it. Yeah, I suppose that as long as the Russian vaccine works, and I really hope it does, that's really good news for Russia, isn't it? Why would I do a video on Myra stuff? I assume you don't know much about Myra if you think I'd be doing videos on Myra gear. Airbursts give a bigger explosive yield, Whiskey. If a nuclear bomb hits the ground, you get what's called a ground burst. That's better for taking out bunkers and fixed structures, but it also sucks lots of dust into the explosion, irradiating it, creating fallout. But basically, the main reason things get airbursts is just because you've got a wider kind of blast zone. Masks don't produce air. Filters don't contain air. Yeah, if you watch the atomic cannon shot, Whiskey, you can see just how effective a shockwave is, where it like crumples cars and buses, and like just where some of the shockwaves will just literally flatten a house like that. Yeah, duck and cover, duck and cover. Yep. What was it called? The salted cobalt bomb. Yeah, basically, let's kill everything on Earth. Yes, OK9, that's exactly what everybody's on about. There's no problem with that, is there, off-target survival and prepping, because the thing is, if you're prepared for nuclear war, you're probably prepared for any sort of more likely to occur natural disaster, aren't you? But the Myra filters are literally just other branded filters. A lot of them are AVEC filters, aren't they? Which is a Czech company. I've got an AVEC filter. I wouldn't buy a Myra version of that filter with like their name slapped on it for a higher price. Fun fact, the CEO of Myra comes on YouTube and insults people to claim his company's good. Yeah, I wonder why that might be hype. Well, we all know the answer, don't we? Because they won't look objectionably at it. They'll just say, oh, I've been sent a really cool, expensive mask. This makes it the best gas mask in the world. The thing I find funny of Myra as well, they also sell SOEX Geiger counters for like 50% markup on the price of the actual SOEX models. As a Myra Geiger counter. Amazing. I'd certainly, instead of... It's just crazy to me that basically it's like you could buy a SOEX counter for like $100 or whatever it is, or for $150 you could get one of these. But for $150 you could just buy the SOEX one with Myra's name on it. No, Tyra, I don't know if you heard this morning when I started the stream, if you've only just come on, but I said I need to look into that this afternoon when I'm sorting out a load of other stuff. I'm only going to be on another couple of minutes for this stream because I've got a load of stuff I need to do today. But I'm going to be looking up all that airfield stuff today. Isn't the Iron Giant the like animated film based on the Iron Man book, isn't it? I think I've seen it ages ago, Rich, but like not much that I can remember about it other than like he ran like that, didn't he, when he was running along? No, I never said I wasn't streaming today. If you make your own hype and shoot it up, I hope it works. But yeah, for the people who are like, oh, I'd survive a nuclear war, just watch Freds. Honestly, just watch Freds and realize just how bleak and horrible it would be if there was like a worldwide nuclear exchange. Basically, the lucky people die in the blast because they die instantly. The unlucky people succumb to radiation poisoning or other illnesses or starvation months to years later. I don't think zombies as in flesh-eating zombies would be real. If you mean people that could get stuff like rabies and become aggressive and crazy, that could certainly be real. Yeah, I mean, yeah, look at the exclusion zone. The thing is, the exclusion zone is actually a pretty good nature reserve now in a sense, but yeah, if you look at the immediate effects of what happens when you essentially have nuclear materials spread over an area, it does horrible, horrible things to people. Well, they used to planes, didn't they? And that's why all the fuss was made, because people couldn't handle it, basically. It used to, I think Freds used to be shown a lot in the schools, didn't it, in like the late 80s, to kind of show, why nuclear sort of mutually assured destruction was a horrible thing. And I think something like Freds probably hits it home a lot harder than somebody saying, oh, it's bad that there's nukes. In terms of a trauma kit, I've got like a decent first aid kit in my car, which is, we've also got like some first aid in one of the bedrooms in the house, but the one in the car has like, bandages in it, as well as stuff like high-vis vests, so if you were in a crash that you could walk, you could put that on. Emergency, like those foil blankets in it, minor things like plasters and all stuff like that, but it's not like a military-style trauma kit, It's more just, you might be able to patch somebody up good enough that by the time an ambulance gets there, the survival chance is a bit better. Governments would go full authoritarian whiskey if they survived it. Basically, the UK plan for nuclear war, because we didn't really have one, was that the government and local governments built really good bunkers for themselves, and the idea was they'd live down there for months. They were completely defendable in terms of they had lots of armed guards in them, and like literally kill zones set up in the bunker in case hungry people decided to try and raid them. And then the idea was after several months, they would come back to the surface and then they would basically, force ration food. You had to work in slave conditions to get fed, kind of things. I think it's because they're pretty realistic OK-9, both Freds and the war game. The idea basically being that you wouldn't want to survive the blast, because of how shit your life is going to be until you die. Yeah, exactly, Peter. And it's not stuff like that they're going to be worrying about. It's going to be, how many resources do you have? Basically, we'd return to feudalism is the easiest way of explaining it. And that would be if we would survive long enough that, the government could maintain itself before everybody just starved to death anyway. Because, again, if there was a big nuclear exchange, you'd have lots of shit thrown up into the air. There's nuclear winter theory. Some people dispute it. But the point is, you're not going to get good crop yields for a couple of years. And that's even assuming that your country had enough, farmland and everything to be able to grow good, food without importing it anyway. If I had, let's say, an exactly £100 budget, maybe an FM12. It depends what country you're in, obviously, but just saying like $100, £100. Maybe an M50 or a C50 if you spotted one at a good price. Well, basically more than we already are, Philip. Yeah, because the armed soldiers with their NBC gear on will be sent over, and you'll toil that field or you won't get fed. And if you run away, you'll starve. If you try and take, stuff, you'll be shot by the people who are being given higher rations than you. So therefore, they're in better shape than you. Oh yeah, the road's very bleak as well, isn't it? I got my M50 Simfrost for £50, so half that. But yeah, I know a lot of the time it's just luck, isn't it? At the time you're buying it, what turns up at what prices. You could probably reliably buy something like a JSP Force 10 or something like that, or one of the 3M full face masks with like ABEC combination filters for $100. Yeah, I'll be off now because I've gone over the time I said I'd be on. Thanks for all the people asking sensible questions on this stream. We had a couple of strange people basically saying, "Oh no, but you wouldn't get gamma rays from a nuke," kind of thing. Yeah, the problem is at the moment though, trying to advise people on realistic prices of masks is quite difficult, just simply because mask prices have gone crazy due to Corona. But yeah, I'm going to go get some lunch. So yeah, see you everybody. Have a good day. Bye.